Who's a bystander?
Person standing on the side of the road.
Anybody standing on the side of the road, right?
So, did you know distracted driving includes talking on your cell phone, texting and driving, drinking and driving, twerking, talking to your radio, reading, talking to your passengers, and using the GPS.
There are 3 ways in which alcohol attacks the brain. Second, you lose control over your emotions, increasing the chance of blackouts. And third, it affects your heart rate, body temperature, appetite, and consciousness, which is potentially dangerous but can be fatal.
Now let us talk about use of cell phones while driving. In a survey, 77% of young adults were confident that they can safely text while driving, and about 55% were sure that they're confident that they can text while driving. They said that it's easy to text while driving. And they don't think that it's a problem. Drivers don't understand that or realize that using a cell phone or texting can distract the brain, and it takes the focus away from the primary task of driving. However, it's a huge problem. In 2011, 25% of all motor vehicle crashes included the use of cell phones. And texting or using cell phones can distract you because your eyes are off the road, your hands are off the wheel, and you're not thinking while you're driving. So if you're texting while driving, you're not actually driving, you're just texting.
So, here's some facts for y'all. Motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death in 15 to 20-year-olds in the United States. Teens, due to a lack of driving experience, are 4 times more likely to be involved in a car crash than any other age group. And just the presence of one passenger increases the risk of 50%, while adding 3 or more passengers nearly quadruples this risk effect of getting in a car crash. Also, another fact, an Idaho teen just moments before she died posted on her Facebook saying, "I can't discuss this matter right now. Driving and Facebooking is not safe." Do you really think it's funny now?
Also, did you know that Louisiana has a statewide ban on the use of wireless devices while driving through a school zone during posted hours? This includes texting, making a phone call, or using any kind of social network such as Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, stuff like that.
Five seconds is the average amount of time your eyes are off the road when you're texting. At 55 miles per hour, that's enough time to cover the entire length of a football field.
Okay, so who in here can tell me what population is most at risk for distracted driving? What was it? Teens. Okay, now we have a game set up for y'all. We have one station where it's a texting and driving simulator. And we're gonna pull it up on the computer, and you're gonna try to show us if you can text and drive.
You got any volunteers?
Baby, hold on. Graciela. And I'm like, you are no, nothing's working.
I can play Wii.
I love how y'all use stereotypes and give people names. It's the hot guy, the girl with the accent, and the twerking girl. That's Brittany.
Y'all think he can do it?
No.
All right, we got Joey right here. Let's go try it out.
You can't drive at all.
All right, you're swerving all over the roof. That is a crash. Please, guys, get out the car. Come on, Joey. Volunteer.
It's gonna be running. Joey took like 5 seconds. I'm supposed to be going there.
All right, doing pretty good. Not really.
Come on, man.
All right, got it like that. Yeah, speed up. Yeah.
Really 20 miles an hour.
He's not even texting.
All right, Joey. Thanks for being a good sport, man. Oh, we got the V. Try. The variant. Sorry. Pep. Hey, Pep. Pep can actually multitask. Oh. That's where you're going. Oh.
How's that his fault? How is that his fault?
Stop, I guess.
Do they have like a phone there? Oh, dude, I can catch it. I wouldn't even be touching it.
One more volunteer. We want somebody who's readily aware that they can actually text and drive and who does it in real life.
I don't drive.
I'll do passenger.
Yeah, she drives like she's
There you go. Crash. No. Good job, Annelle.
You gonna do it, baby?
She was like, get it, girl.
Everybody count out how many times she crashes.
Who wants to ride with Jamie while she's drinking? Y'all want to ride with her when she's drinking?
I'll get a taxi.
Yeah, I know. This is way better than the last one. Yeah, and then we like went to my church, and then we had like a weird ritual moment where like the guy goes down to the river and he like feels his surroundings. Exactly. Like that was awful. And they kept yelling at me because I was talking. I'm like, I'm not gonna stop
Oh, okay. Okay, Jenny. Good try. Up.
Backed up on
Vincent. Vincent, you can drink and drive? No? Good answer.
I got his ass.
You know how to play the Wii? Let's go. I'll give you 3 chances, Vincent. Alright, you on the wrong side of the boat. That's 1 chance. Yeah, you gotta speed up. That's 2 chances. I'll give you 10 more seconds. Up. That's 3 tries. 3 strikes, you're out. Buddy. Good job. Good.
Surprise. We have Trooper Greg here and Miss Katie. They're going to come talk a little bit about what happens if you do get pulled over from drinking and driving. So do a little
We're not going to use the mic, but y'all not going to talk when we're talking. Okay? That's ground rules are set. Cool with that? Yes. Okay. I'm Trooper Greg Marchand. I work at a Troop L. I'm the Public Information Officer. Most of my day is going around the schools talking to students. I've been a trooper for going on 19 years. I've seen a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of things that are totally preventable. Okay? So put this into perspective. Every student at Hammond High, every student at Ponchatoula, every student at Amite, every student at St. Thomas Aquinas die every year on our nation's highways. Over 5,000 kids, 15 to 20-year-olds, die for things that are preventable. Texting, impairment, driving too close, distractions, cell phones, driving too fast, driving beyond the equipment capability of the vehicle. All those things are preventable.
Guys, what we want you to think about too is just think about yourself. And what if a decision you made unfortunately caused you to lose your life? How many people would be affected, right? Your parents, your sisters, your brothers, your friends at school, your teachers, your community. When one person in a state of Louisiana dies, it affects thousands of people, even people you don't know. It affects me. I'm the director of trauma at North Oaks. I've
I've been taking care of trauma patients my whole entire career. And I'm the one who has to tell your parents that you've either died in a car crash or that you have a traumatic brain injury, you're never going to be the same person again, or that you have a spinal cord injury. Does anybody know what a quadriplegic is? So that's somebody that is injured from about the chest down, and they're unable to move anything. They're not able to take care of themselves. They're not able to bathe themselves, feed themselves. I've taken care of a lot of 16, 17, 18-year-olds who had this bright future, plans to go to college, play football, play baseball, cheerleading, that are never going to do that again. They're going to live with their parents. And unfortunately for some of these kids, their parents can't afford to stay home. How many of you have both parents that have to work to make a living? I know I do, right? What happens if one of them stays home? They don't go to work. You can't pay your bills. You lose your house. You don't have any food. So do you know where these kids have to go? They have to go to a nursing home. So I've sent 16, 17, 18-year-old kids to a nursing home. Y'all, those are the saddest days I ever have to have, because nobody ever wants to do that. When you don't wear your seatbelt and you're injured in car crashes, it affects your brain and your spinal cord. These are things that God's given us that once they're injured, we can't get them back. So once you have a brain injury or an injury to your spine, nothing that we do, you can be at the best hospital, the best place in this whole entire world, we cannot fix that. We do not have that technology.
Who plays football in here? Who's ever softball? Who's ever ran into somebody on the basketball court going after a rebound and got your bell rung? Okay. Who's ever been dizzy after a hit? Okay. Let me put it to you this way. Mike Tyson. Everybody knows who Mike Tyson is? Yes. Okay. He's probably one of the hardest hitting professional boxers that ever lived. He wasn't the biggest by Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Joe Louis status, but he was just like a fire plug. Okay. His punch is about 700 pounds per square inch. So every time he hit somebody, he dropped them like a wet noodle. The way that your body and the forces that are forced upon your body when you're involved in a crash is multiplied by your speed, time, your weight. So if you weigh 100 pounds, which I'm pretty much everybody in here is close to, if not well above 100 pounds, and if you're doing speed limit on the interstate, which everybody does, right? Not. 70 miles an hour, the force that's exerted upon your body is 7,000 pounds. Okay? Mike Tyson, 700. I guarantee there's nobody in his gym that could take a punch from Mike Tyson and not collapse. So why would you put yourself in that situation of getting in a vehicle and not buckling up? Okay? You've got to realize that your decisions dictate your life.
How many of you wear your seatbelt all the time? Raise your hand. What if you're the passenger? Keep your hands up if you still wear it all the time. What if you're riding in the back seat? No. What if you're in the third row in a van? Are you still wearing your seatbelt? No. Guys, so let me, hey, I'm hoping after today I can change your behavior. I've taken care of patients who drivers had their seatbelts on and passengers had their seatbelts on, but the family in the back did not have their seatbelts on. That mother-in-law came forward and she hit her son-in-law in the head. All right? He had his seatbelt on. He was doing everything he was supposed to do. She killed her son-in-law because she did not have her seatbelt on. When Trooper Greg talks about that 7,000 pounds of force, our bodies are moving forward. So when you get into that crash, you're going to continue moving forward even though that car stopped. He ran into the back of his son-in-law's head. So think about that. When you're riding in vehicles with other people, if you're not wearing your seatbelt and you get into a wreck, can you live with yourself if you are the reason that somebody else is injured or killed? I have a rule. I don't ride in a vehicle with people who don't wear seatbelts. My kids won't ride into a vehicle with somebody who doesn't wear seatbelts because their life is precious. You guys aren't replaceable. So just think your one decisions you guys make to wear your seatbelt or not wear your seatbelt affects many lives, not just your lives. So for those of you who aren't wearing your seatbelts all the time, and guys, I'm going to be honest, I never had somebody come and explain these things to me in high school. I didn't wear my seatbelt in the backseat of the car either. No good reason. I just didn't. But I can tell you, once I learned and I was educated, I can go get the mail in my car, my seatbelt's going to be on.
The reason why is because it's a learned behavior. Our parents didn't wear seatbelts. They didn't even have seatbelts in cars till I was 7 years old. So it's a learned behavior. And if your parents aren't buckling up, if your parents are texting, if your parents allow you to drink, you're going to do it because that's your learned behavior. Okay? You are old enough to know right from wrong. You're old enough to make mature decisions. And with adulthood becomes great responsibility. To be able to do these things, I never hear, who in here wants to get cancer? Who in here wants to have juvenile diabetes? Type 1 diabetes? Who wants heart disease? Who wants a driver's license in a car? And guess what? Every disease that I name, add those deaths together and they don't add up to the deaths from motor vehicle crashes that happen to your age group. Your age group every year. So you want something that's potentially, with a big percentage, is going to kill you. Doesn't make sense. You need to be responsible. And that's why I came up here in a minute. It was fun. This is a great class, but when we get up here and talk, this is very serious. Because of the fact that you do the wrong decision and you have nobody to lean on at the next assembly because you killed her because you were texting while driving. Okay? That chair to the next desk, the desk next to you is not filled because of somebody who was not buckled up. The next football game you have, instead of a halftime show with the dance team and the cheerleaders and the band, you have a tribute to a student because a drunk driver crossed the center line and killed him. Okay? It's real. And y'all can make a change. Y'all can make a decision to do it right. Wear that seatbelt. Wear that seatbelt. Huh?
I said sometimes they get stuck.
What you mean? Okay, it's a good point. You know, I don't want to wear a seatbelt because if I get in a crash and the car catches on fire, or if I go in the water, I won't be able to get out. But the reality of the fact is, if you don't wear your seatbelt and you're involved in a crash, those 7,000 pounds of force are going to knock you out, and you're not going to get out anyway. They're going to cause brain injuries, and you're going to die from that anyway. I've been to thousands of crashes. Okay, I've never had somebody who was restrained say that they tried to get out and couldn't. Okay? So that's misconceptions. They're too tight. They don't fit right. You need to wear it. A sore chest, a brush burn is better than have somebody feed you, bathe you, and clean you for the rest of your life because of making a bad decision.
And guys, if we wear our seatbelts the way we're supposed to wear it, over our clavicle and across our hips, that's where the bony parts of our body are, right? So if let's say I take that seatbelt and I don't want to mess up my dress, or I don't want to mess up my hair. I hear that a lot from girls. They put it behind your back. All that force, guys, is going across your pelvis right here. What if that seatbelt rides up a little bit and it's sitting across my abdomen? Where's the next bones in my body?
Ribs.
It's your spine. What happens when that 7,000 pounds of force hits that spine? It breaks. Our spinal cord is inside of that spine. Our spinal cord is what makes us walk, makes us move, be able to control when we go to the bathroom. So what if I say I'm going to take that seatbelt and all right, well, I'm just going to put it under my arm because it bothers me. Where's my strong muscle? Where's my strong bones under my arm? Ribs. I heard somebody say it. Ribs. Guess what, guys? Those aren't strong. They'll crack and break, and then they'll puncture your lungs, and they'll bleed. And those are injuries that I don't even get to see you because you die before you can come to me. Trooper Greg sees you, but there's nothing I can do for you because there are injuries that once they happen, doesn't matter if it happens in the parking lot of my hospital, I can't save you.
So, he was driving. He's obviously all over the road. He's going to draw my attention to him, right? We're everywhere. The state troopers, the local police departments, Southeastern's police department, the local sheriff's department, we're all trained in field sobriety. Field sobriety and DWI detection has come a long way in the last 20 years because DWIs have become a major problem. Distracted driving, texting and driving. Now, all those laws are put in place because of the fact that research has shown that a lot of people are getting into crashes because they're texting and driving. They didn't have a texting and driving law when I was driving. when I started, we didn't have cell phones. Well, now it's changing. So he drives all over the road. He draws my attention to him by the way he's driving. I get him out of the car. As he gets out the car, he almost falls. He holds onto the car for balance. And then I go into doing a thing we call standardized field sobriety tests. Standardized because they're always done the same. They field sobriety tests because we can do them here on this perfectly flat surface. We can do them on grass, on dirt, on gravel. They're done in the field. Okay? And then sobriety, obviously, it's called, we've seen if he's sober or not. The tests are made and developed to be simple and divided attention tests, meaning that when you're sober, when you're not impaired, you're going to do these tests. Now, we take into account nervousness. We understand that people are going to be nervous when they're dealing with a face-to-face with a state trooper on the side of the road. They just got stopped. They can have some scared jitters and stuff like that. We're not talking about those type of shakes. When you're impaired, there's things that your body tells somebody who's trained that what we're looking for to be able to make that arrest. Okay? Your eyes do things. They move certain ways that you cannot control. I don't care how experienced you are. It's part of the autonomic nervous system. It does it automatically. You don't have to tell your lungs to breathe. You don't have to tell your heart to pump. You don't have to tell your eyes to blink. They do it automatically. So when we do this field sobriety test, we check your eyes. It's a thing called a horizontal gaze nystagmus test. We hold a pen, a finger, or some kind of thing that you can stare at. And we move it side to side, checking to see the movement of those eyes. Then we do a walk and turn test. We have you walk along the line, a certain way, heel to heel, touching heel to toe, hands by your side, looking down. Things that are very easy to do when you're sober. And then we do a thing called a walk and turn, the one-leg stand test. Stand on one leg, keep your leg straight, hands by your side, looking at your foot, count 1,001, 1,002, until I tell you to stop. Now, I got 10 pounds of gear on me and boots, and I'm here perfectly fine. Now, you have people pop in, you have people doing this, you have people that, you have all that stuff, and it's very simple to see that that person's impaired.
People do this.
Oh, yeah.
Lean on
they lean on a tree. Okay, so it's very, and there's no such thing as really a first offense DWI, because statistics show nationally that when you get arrested for DWI, you've driven at least 80 times drunk in that calendar year. Okay, so you and your parents go out to eat, and y'all go to Copeland's, or y'all go to Jack Mel, if that's how you pronounce it, or y'all go to Applebee's, wherever, and y'all sitting down there, your dad has 2 or 3 beers, your mom has 2 glasses of wine, and y'all drive home, your parents are impaired. They might not look it on your standards, on their standards, but if they interact with me on the road, they are going to go to jail. So, do some research, do some learning that you're starting on your soon as starting on your I can't think of what I'm looking for, on your voyage of soon to get your license, going through your GDL, your graduated driver's license, and to where you can be that responsible, mature, young adult to make the right decision. Because you're given the opportunity. We're talking to you now. You're more educated about this topic than you were an hour ago. You know the information's out there. You know there's resources that you can pull together to get the knowledge you need. But it's going to take some effort. Okay? Any questions?
Any questions for either of us? Guys, you have a trooper right here in front of you. When he pulled you over on the side of the road, it's not the time to ask your questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and let him know. Ask now. Nobody? All right. Guys, ready for
Yes, sir. Everybody, be polite. You got somebody asking a question. So you have a driver who is seatbelted, you have a passenger who's seatbelted, and you have a rear passenger who's not seatbelted. Can the rear passenger get arrested? Is that your question? And if the driver's drunk, the driver's going to get arrested for DWI, for driving impaired. The person who doesn't have the seatbelt on, if he's over 17, he's going to get a ticket for not being restrained. If he's under 17, then the driver's going to get a ticket for him not being restrained because it's the driver's responsibility. Okay,
So
but
if y'all are riding with y'all parents not wearing your seatbelts, your parents are the ones who get the ticket.
any other questions? Good question. Thank you all.
All right, thank you guys for your attention today.
Like this, and they're talking to me. And then like, and my mom was like going back about his, and then like he was walking behind me. I'm like, what the hell? He was suspended today. His grandma.
Hey guys. Speaker who's actually had an experience, a real life experience with distracted driving. Her name is Miss Lisa Boudreaux.
As the state trooper and the trauma nurse said, everybody is affected when something like this happens, and I'm one of those, and my mom who is here with me as well. I want to thank you all for allowing me to share some beautiful memories of my daughter Beth Marie, and I brought a picture of her. Beth Marie was killed on March 6, 2009 by a drunk driver. This drunk driver was her friend. First, it is important that I paint this picture of Beth's beautiful soul for you. Please know that I say soul, as I have learned that the beauty that each person on this earth has is who and what we are. Our human bodies are nothing more than a dwelling place that houses our souls. Beth had the most awesome, virtuous soul. Little did Beth know that when she wrote and spoke the sentences at the closing speech of her high school graduation from LaRonja High School in May 2007, that these two sentences would be the most awesome words of wisdom for so many young and old people in our community. Beth wrote and spoke these two sentences. May God bless us on the journey that each of us will take. May that journey be righteous, pure, and holy. Well, these sentences really sum up Beth rather well. Beth had such boundaries of knowing right and wrong. Beth was a young lady exposed to all the good and bad things this world had to offer, but Beth seemed to always choose the right path. Here are a few events in her life that are so simple, yet they totally described my Beth. As I share these stories, please know that as simplistic as they are, they truly reveal the unselfishness, compassion, and pureness that Beth possessed. My first story is about Beth when she was a cheerleader during her years at LaRonja Junior High and LaRonja High School. Beth was a base. A base is someone on the bottom who picks up the girls and catches them on the top. Once, when Beth was in junior high, an older group of cheerleaders came to work with the junior high squad. As Beth was taking a break and sitting on the curb, one of her junior high friends named Mary Lauren was being tossed around. Somehow Mary Lauren went flying across the parking area when they were practicing. Beth was paying enough attention, even though it was her break, to notice this, and she ran and caught Mary Lauren. Beth saw her friend in trouble, and she refused to allow Mary Lauren to get hurt, even if it meant that Beth herself could get hurt. Mothers of girls on the cheerleading squad used to tell me all the time they wanted to be sure that Beth was always their daughter's base. This is a very simple story, but it reveals her unselfish compassion and concerns for others. My second story is about Beth's babysitting job. One of Beth's babysitting jobs was babysitting two little girls, Carmen and Camila. One night, Beth was babysitting them and she called me. She was very upset. She was playing and dancing and twirling, and Camila fell and hit her head. The cut was very deep, but it wasn't bad. I told Beth just to call Camila's mom and let her know what had happened. Later that evening, when Beth was on her way home, she called me saying she was very upset and she was crying. I asked her what was wrong, and she said, "Mom, Camila's head." And I responded by saying, "Beth, it's okay. Little kids fall sometimes." Beth's response to me was, "No, Mama, not on my watch." Again, this is a very simple story that reveals Beth's true compassion and accountability for others. In January 2009, only months before she died, Beth was lying on the floor watching TV. I know that I'm her mother, but I was looking at her and I said I was noticing how beautiful she was, and she was very humble. I said to her, "Beth, I cannot believe that guys are just not knocking our door down to ask you out." Beth's response to me was, "Mama, you do realize that guys hit on me sometimes, but when I bring a guy home, he will be the man I marry." Beth had such righteous and pure standards in her life, and I suppose her older and younger brother also helped with that. Nevertheless, this story reveals her simple pureness. Now let me enlighten you even further. In January 2009, Beth told me to come look at some pictures on her computer of her new guy friends. These pictures were taken from a New Year's Eve party that she had attended. These young men shared a house that they rented on Nashville Street in Hammond. When Beth told me this, my first thought was, "Oh good, Beth has some new guardians to watch over her." I thought guardians because Beth had such awesome boundaries of right and wrong that such a comment from her was only followed by such a thought from me. Beth actually pointed out to me a young man named Ryan and his roommate, Derek. Derek is the young man who got into a vehicle drunk on March 6, 2009, and Derek is the young man who plowed into several people on Nashville Street due to his drunken state on March 6, 2009. That caused the death of his friend and roommate, Thurman Ryan Lowe III from Kenner. That caused the death of my Beth Marie. That caused the death of Maxime Profi, a young male student from France who was attending SOU while working on his master's degree. That caused the critical injuries of Nadine Stewart, a young female student from England on a tennis scholarship at SLU. And caused the minor injuries of Maya, a young lady from Belgrade, Serbia, who was another SOU student. It is so sad that only 65 days after January 1st, 2009, where Beth was showing me her new friends, that she was then accidentally killed by her new friend because of his careless and irresponsible act of drinking and driving. Can you imagine what it feels like for my family and me to not be able to talk, visit, and hug her anymore? Can you imagine what Derek must think about every day of his life as he realizes the lives he ended and the lives he affected? Now let me share with you what happened to me on Mother's Day, May 10th, 2009, which was only 65 days after Beth's death. You see, it was 65 days before Beth died that she was with her friends Ryan and Derek at a New Year's Eve party, and then it was 65 days after Beth's death that my Heavenly Father comforted me beyond imagination. You see, God has comforted me with such blessings that I call graces. I want to share this first grace that started a journey of graces. How special it is that God has given me this opportunity to share with you this morning the guidance and comfort He gives when we trust and allow our free will to be guided by good, pure, and righteous decisions. And trust me, my journey of graces began when I began to pray, as this is the truth. Prayer is the key for a better world for all of us. It was Mother's Day, May 10th, 2009. Beth died only 65 days prior to this date. I was very sad beyond comprehension. I wanted comfort. The only comfort that I knew I could try and grasp would be words from the Bible, as there is no human who can comfort the loss of a parent that a parent feels when a child is taken. I grabbed this Bible that my friend had given to me. I searched with no knowledge of what I was doing, as I was not very accustomed prior to Beth's death of even opening it. As I wandered to the back of it, I realized that there was some sort of index based on the context of the word. Once the context of a word is found, it references a certain scripture. This section is called the concordance. With my newfound knowledge, I played around with the words death and heaven. After a few minutes, I told myself, what are you doing? You need to look up the word pure, as this word best describes that. I reviewed the references to the word purity. One of them said, staying pure in an impure environment, Psalms 119, verse 9. I said to myself, this is so Beth Marie Boutra. I then turned to Psalms 119, verse 9, and right above verse 9 was the word Beth. I was speechless, as I am sure you are right now, if you are truly listening to this. My brain could not process what just happened as I tried to logically explain how